Hey, welcome to Crosspoint. Let's be honest, every single one of us wants to be happy. We spend a lot of our lives chasing it, searching for it, hoping for the next relationship, achievement, purchase, experience, vacation, promotion, or life change to finally deliver it. And if that's you, you're in the right place. Because this weekend, we're talking about one of the most common messages in our culture. Do what makes you happy. And it sounds wise, it sounds freeing, it even sounds a little Jesus-y, but there's just one problem. Jesus never said it. Hey, my name's Abby, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. We're a church that meets in a building like this, but also in coffee shops, living rooms, bars, dorm rooms, patios, all across the internet. But you need to know, wherever you're watching from, you're not just watching, but behind the screen, there's an incredible community that you can get to know and grow alongside of. In fact, we'd love to know you, and to do just that, we want to invite you to scan this QR code. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll help you get connected and involved in the right ways around here. And if it's your first time with us, we'll send you a gift this week just for joining us. The July 4th holiday weekend is just 1 week away, and Crosspoint is going to be online only that weekend. We're giving our valued volunteers the gift of a weekend with their loved ones. Therefore, we will not be hosting any in-person services for kids, students, or adults over Independence Day weekend. But that doesn't mean we're not meeting. We'll be here online all weekend and all week long. And for this online-only weekend, we have the chance to hear from a very special guest, Clay Scroggins, the author of Inspiring Leaders Guide to the Future and How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. He's one of the best communicators of our time. He's so funny. You are not going to want to miss this one. So make plans to join us next weekend online. All right, one of the best ways to make a difference this summer is by stepping outside of our routine and serving others. Summer's here, and at Crosspoint, that means the best summer ever is underway. In fact, our next summer serve opportunity is coming up on Tuesday, July 7th at Fisher's Youth Assistance Program. And if you're interested in joining other Crosspointers to serve the underserved in our communities by helping prepare summer food distribution packs, scan the QR code for details and to sign up to let us know you're joining. Plus, another easy way to be a difference maker in our community is through our Back to School in Style initiative. This is a partnership with one of our local elementary schools, and there's two ways that you can participate. You can either stop by the Commons at Crosspoint during a weekend service or during the week and pick up a shopping tag with an individual back-to-school clothing items. Or if it's easier, just hit this QR code, make a donation, choose the designation Back to School in Style, and we'll do the shopping for you. Check it out today, anytime between now and July 19th. Last, we've got some new summer growth opportunities. And for parents out there, if you want less conflict, stronger relationships, and a clearer path forward as a parent, I cannot encourage you enough to check out the Parenting Project. This is a 6-week seminar that will give practical tools to help you and your family thrive. And it begins on Tuesday, August 11th. You can check this out to find out more and to register. All right, we've got a great service today. If we're honest, we're all looking for a little more happiness. But maybe what we're really looking for is something deeper. So before we hear from Curt, here's Kyle and the Crosspoint Band with Sweetness by Jimmy Eat World.
If you're listening, whoa. Sing it back, whoa. Straight from your tether unwind. Whoa, whoa. Upward and outward divine. Whoa, whoa. Power spinning deeper. if you're listening. Whoa. Sing it back. Whoa. And I'm still running away. Whoa. Whoa. Won't play hide and seek games. Whoa. Whoa. I was spinning free. Whoa. With a little sweet and simple numbing me. What a dizzy dance. Whoa. Sweetness will not be concerned with me. No, the sweetness will not be concerned with me. No, the sweetness will not be concerned with me. Come on, how many of you didn't expect to hear Jimmy Eat World? Make some noise for that band if that was surprised you right there. Yeah, are you listening? I mean, we've been talking about things Jesus never said. You know, we hear a lot of things in culture. We listen to a lot of things in culture, but it's important we're listening to the right things. So, man, welcome to Crosspoint. Really excited to have you with us this weekend. My name's Curt, and if you're here for the first time, welcome to Crosspoint. You picked a good weekend because we're talking about some things that I think relate to all of us, regardless of where we are in our spiritual journey. And we're going to dive into one more of those this weekend. And let's make some noise for those tuning in online this weekend. All of our friends that are joining us, we're so excited to have you tuning in. If you're pooling or laking, or maybe this is just your normal mode of joining us, we are excited that you're a part of what's happening here. Now, this is the last weekend of Not Jesus, things Jesus never said. And you might be wondering, like, why would a church talk about things that Jesus never said? Which is kind of interesting. I'm answering that at the end of this series. But, you know, if you're new to faith or newer to faith, or maybe if you've ever looked at the New Testament part of the Bible, you know, when you look at the first four books in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, these are the biographical accounts of Jesus' life. And when you look at some Bibles, the text, the literal text, instead of being black ink, it's actually red letters. And those are the words of Jesus, and they're actually otherworldly, and they're powerful. I mean, the things that Jesus says is powerful. And so in this series, it's sometimes helpful just to look at things that he didn't say, things he could have said, things we think he did say, or things I would have said if I were him. And when we do that, it actually helps us understand the power of the things he actually did say. So today we're going to talk again about something Jesus didn't say, and today we're going to talk about something he didn't say about happiness. And one of the things I know about every single one of us in the room, those of us tuning in online, is you all want happiness, right? Like, we all want to be happy. Like, I don't think I've ever met a person that says, hey, I just want my life to be miserable. That is my goal in life. No, we all want a degree of happiness. And so today we're going to look at the phrase, go do what makes you happy. And I know for some of us, you're like, we so desperately want that phrase to be something that Jesus said. Unfortunately, he didn't. And so we're gonna kind of understand what he actually did say, and it actually takes us to some deeper places on that level. So we're going to look at the Gospel of John this weekend, and we're going to look at a moment in Jesus' life, and it's kind of a long story. The cool thing is, I think there's some connects in this, an application for every single one of us, again, regardless of where we are on our spiritual journey. And then at the end of the story, we're going to see something specifically that he did not say, and then we're going to, that kind of reveals what he actually did say, and it kind of lifts up just how transformational that thing actually is. So this is the gospel account of Jesus' life from the writer John. Here's what he says. He says, at dawn, Jesus appeared again in the temple courts where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees, which, by the way, these were like the highly, like the people that wanted to look all religious. They were super spiritual. At least they wanted to present that. They really weren't, because internally they were pretty judgmental, pretty hypocritical. And so the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, they brought in a woman caught in adultery. Now, I want to hit the pause button here for a moment, because I just want us to visualize what's going on right here. Jesus is in the village area. He's sitting down in the middle of the city, and he's teaching. He's leading a small group, a men's group, a meetup group. We don't know exactly what it is. He's got a bunch of people around him, and these hyper-religious men drag this woman that they caught in the act, as it says right here, of adultery, in front of him and kind of present her to him. which raises for me a lot of questions. And I wish we had some time to dig into these questions, which we would if we had more time. But like things like where's the guy? Right? You can't do adultery by yourself. Like, why did you just bring her? And then the other question is kind of like, what were you peeping at that caused you to find her? Right? Like, how exactly did this happen? And so, and that's a message for another week, by the way. But nonetheless, this woman, she's caught in the act of adultery. Just imagine that. When you're caught in the act, I mean, that means like she probably was drugged into this moment, barely clothed. And this is likely one of the most humiliating, one of the lowest moments of her life. And it's interesting because the religious leaders aren't like standing in to help her. No, as we're going to see in a moment, they're actually using her as a tool to actually get at Jesus. And we see this in the next part of the story. It says, they made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery, and the law of Moses commanded us to stone such women." So imagine that they're very publicly suggesting that they're going to throw rocks at her and she's going to die a very, very public death, a very painful death. And then they ask Jesus this question. They present that and they say, "So what do you say?" All right? And the next verse actually shows us some of their motivation to what they're getting to at right here. It says they were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing Jesus. So they kind of put Jesus in what I would say is a no-win situation, right? Because you've got like the law of Moses, which, says this woman's guilty, and based on what was going on. And the law of Moses also says that this woman should be stoned to death. And we're not talking medicinally, all right? We're talking like with rocks. We're not like, but like just so we all know what's going on here and what we're referring to. And so Jesus is kind of in an odd spot because if he agrees and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. That's what the Old Testament law says. So I guess like go ahead, have at her, do whatever you want to do to her." Like that's going to totally go against his character and the integrity of the identity of who he is. And yet on the other hand, if he's like, it's not that big a deal. We're going to let this one slide. We're going to lower our expectations here. He's going to be accused of breaking the law of Moses, and now he's condoning adultery and sin, all this kind of stuff. And so what does he do? What does he do? What does he do? What does he do? What does he do right here? Well, the next thing is fascinating. It says, but Jesus, get this, it says he bent down and he started to like write something in the sand. And this is interesting because they ask him a question and he kneels down and he starts drawing in the dirt. And it raises a big question. In fact, this is a question that people for centuries have been trying to answer. And that question is, what exactly did Jesus write in the sand? All right, and there's some cues in the story. They're going to tell us what he was writing. He may have been doing like 6, 7. I don't know. Probably not. That's a funny one, by the way. And my kids are dying with the reality that I just brought that into this message. But I don't think that's what he was talking about. In fact, the other manuscripts outside of these texts actually indicate to us that he was bending down, writing in the dirt the sins of the religious leaders. All right, starting with the oldest. All right, because they would have had the most sins because they lived the longest life and would have accrued probably more mistakes and sins than anybody else. And so again, we're not exactly sure, but let's just visualize this for a moment. All right, so he's making a list in the dirt. All right, and he looks up at the Pharisees and he sees Phil. Let's call him Phil the Pharisee. He's the oldest. He's kind of the ringleader. And he starts writing down, he says, Phil, and he starts writing down, because Jesus is all-knowing, right? So, like, he starts, he knows what was in his browser history last week. He doesn't have to look that far. He's like, oh, yeah, like, barely there bikinis, I remember that, or whatever was going on in Phil's browser, right? And so the story goes on, and it says, when they kept on questioning him, he straightened up, and he said to them, let any one of you who is without sin, meaning, in other words, if I didn't write your name down here in the dirt, then how about you be the one that goes ahead and throws or casts the first stone at her? And this is interesting because, again, when you dig into the Greek language versus the English language, their words mean a little bit more and sometimes have different expressions than our English language capture. And so this phrase, let anyone who is without sin, that's not just like, if anybody's blameless here. No, this gets into like intention and in like somebody's heart. Like that means like it is somebody who didn't even want to do this. All right? It's somebody who's not even wanting to sin, which is pretty fascinating because, I don't know about you, but there have been a lot of times in my life where like I didn't do it. Like I wanted to do something, but I didn't do it. But boy, I sure wanted to, right? Like, and maybe some of you don't want to know that, but let's be honest. We're probably all there. We probably had moments where like, I know I shouldn't do that, but I really want to do that, right? Like our heart, and we may not have done it, but our heart wants to. It's also fair to say that, like, at least for me, I'm really good at finding your sins and finding really impressive ways to cover mine up. I don't know if you do the same thing, right? It's amazing how easy it is to point the finger at somebody else when in our own lives, we're doing something perhaps even worse or equally different. So Jesus, he just looks up at them. He says, if anyone of you is without sin, then you can be the one to throw the first stone at her. And then verse 8, it says again, Jesus, he stooped down. He started just drawing again in the sand, probably making more lists, listing out the next Pharisee and the next one. And it says that those who heard began to go away one at a time, probably starting with Phil. Phil was the oldest, so he was the first. And the older ones first until Jesus was the only one left with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Like where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, sir, no one." And then Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you." But see, here's what Jesus didn't say right here. Jesus didn't say, "Hey, neither do I condemn you, so go do whatever makes you happy." All right? That's not what Jesus says. We wish Jesus would have said that. He didn't say that. He said, no. He said, "Neither do I condemn you." He said, "So go now and leave your life of sin." And this wasn't like judgmental or condemning at all coming from Jesus. I mean, it was actually freeing. It's actually full of love. I mean, there's a lot of compassion in this moment right here. I mean, you can also feel like the urgency here. I mean, he's like, wait, I've got something way better for you. You don't have to live in the shame anymore. I mean, these guys, this probably got to be one of the worst days of your life right here. I mean, this probably isn't the way you expected to end your day when you started it today. Listen, I set you free. I've stood in the gap for you. Go. You are free from your past. All right, you don't have to be held hostage anymore. Why is it so many of us, including me, give into temptation so often? Have you ever wondered that? And I think the reason that we see it, we're like, oh, I want to do that. I don't know, I really should, but we give into it. It's because, honestly, it looks appealing, right? It looks fun. In fact, let me ask you this question. How many of you would agree that sin can be fun? Just raise your hand. And I know some of you are like, well, I don't know that's a question I should answer in church, right? I mean, and if you're with somebody, you're like, I don't want them seeing, like let's be honest though. Like I would say, yeah, sin can be fun, right? Like, and some of you are like, I think that's a trick question. It's not. It's just that, the reality is, in fact, Hebrews, the writer of Hebrews in the New Testament, he calls it this. He says, there's these fleeting pleasures of sin. Sin can be fun, at least for a little while. Let me tell you something. If it's not fun for you, you're not doing it right, all right? Like you need to figure out how to sin differently because usually, at least initially, it's fun, at least for a bit. But see, here's the bigger thing. What does temptation do, though? See, temptation or sin that leads to sin is just missing the mark. It's missing God's best intention for us. Sin promises a satisfaction that it can't fully deliver at a cost and an eventual pain to you. Let me say that again. Sin, or when we settle for less than God's best for us, promises a satisfaction that it can't fully deliver at a cost and eventual pain to yourself. Meaning sin, it promises a satisfaction. Hey, you're going to like this. You're going to enjoy this. This is going to be good. Man, you are going to feel happy. It promises a satisfaction, but it leads to eventual pain that you bring upon yourself. See, I want us to get in the mind of this woman for a moment. All right, this woman who's drug into this most humiliating moment in her life. All right, she's caught in adultery, but I have no idea really who she was. We don't really know many details. I don't know, maybe she was an evil woman. I mean, maybe she woke up that morning, she's like, you know what, I'm going to go wreck somebody's household today. I'm going to tear apart a marriage today. That's what I'm going to get up and do. Maybe that's what she did. Odds are, and I'm going to kind of play the odds right here, odds are she was a decent, good-hearted woman. Right? I mean, and I'm trying to make this relatable because that's where we can see the application, say, okay, what's really going on? How is my life like this woman's life? All right, I'm picturing this woman in a relationship, a marriage, perhaps that had just gone flat. All right, her and her husband loved each other. All right, but it just kind of got flat. Maybe her husband, took her for granted. And she just didn't feel valued. Maybe her husband didn't appreciate her. I mean, if I'm honest, I can honestly say I've done that in my marriage. I think we've all experienced that in a relationship. Maybe there was some kind of verbal abuse. I don't know. Maybe it went a lot deeper. Perhaps one day she goes out and gets a new job. She says, hey, I need to go out, and it builds her confidence. She realizes, hey, I can do something. I can bring something to the world. And she feels a little bit better about herself. She's now working around all sorts of people and new people, and she's working next to a guy, and he's kind of fun and lively personality, and it's just innocent. There's nothing weird going on. It's just normal collegial relationships. But after a while, he starts paying attention to her. And she feels a little guilty about it because she didn't feel paid attention to at home. And, he compliments her. He gives a shout out on her work, says, hey, that project you did, you knocked that out of the park. And then one day he notices her hair. She gets highlights. He's like, man, hair looks really good. And she thinks to herself, well, gosh, my husband didn't even notice my hair. Like this guy, he notices my hair. And she finds herself starting to look forward to interactions with him, right? She doesn't necessarily want to, but she just finds her heart like kind of leaning that way. And then he starts following her on Instagram, right? He starts liking, commenting, every post, like gives thumbs up, and then eventually like fire, man, you're hot, you're on fire, man, look at you go. And all of a sudden, like she looks forward now to seeing him. And then one evening they stay late after work. And they're working late, and he opens up to her, and his life apparently isn't all that great. And then a week or two later, he comes back to her and he says, gosh, I think I married the wrong person. It's such a struggle. I feel like I should have married someone like you. And then, one day later in the week, she's sitting at her desk, and he kind of brushes her arm as he walks by, and she's like, wow, there's something that happened when we touched. And, she doesn't know if it's an accident or if it was intentional, but she starts wondering if something's there. She goes, wow, I feel a certain way. I think he could actually make me happy. In fact, he would make me happy. Then she tells her girlfriends, and her girlfriends are like, girl, you follow your heart, right? Like go do what makes you happy. Like you go do you, boo-boo, right? Like that's what we do as friends sometimes. Like, you go do this. I don't know if it happened that way. I'm just trying to make it real. Like these are the ways things like this happen at times. And step by seemingly innocent step, like one seemingly insignificant decision after another, she finds herself barely dressed and perhaps one of the most humiliating moments, the lowest moments in her life. And how did she get there? Like, how did that happen? Which, by the way, this isn't just a her issue. Like, this easily could be a he thing. Like, this could have been him in the same boat, her. This is a human issue. Like, we all could be in this. Because sin promises a satisfaction that it can't fully deliver at a cost and eventual pain to you. And why do many of us end up in these places? Well, I personally believe it's because we live in a relativistic culture. And you say, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, relativism. What's relativism? Relativism is the belief that everything is relative. All right, that there's no absolutes. And I see this all the time. Hey, what's true for you is not true for me. You got your rules, I got mine. Certain things are absolute for you, but they're not for me. You do you, and I tell you what, you let me do me. All right, there's no such thing as like certain things just apply to everyone. All right, I'm going to do whatever makes me happy. And see, here's the fundamental breakdown in this. That when we begin to have this belief that there's no absolute truth, no certain absolute things that just apply to us as humans, then truth is defined by whatever makes me happy. And so the bottom line is my happiness. And then happiness becomes the standard by which I judge my actions. Meaning, if it makes me happy, it must be good. Or if it doesn't make me happy, it must be bad. And I know. Everybody says, boy, don't get involved in this. All right, that you shouldn't go down that path. But like, listen, it feels right, so I'm going to do it. So this is the problem, right? These are the problems right here. And for so many of us, the other thing is that we think happiness, is at odds even with Jesus, with faith, with God. Like deep down, maybe we had just a really misguided religious upbringing, and we're just told, or at least it was inferred that, man, if you're going to follow Jesus, you're not going to be happy. All right? Or, there's no way for you to choose Jesus but also have a sense of joy or happiness in your life. All right? Almost like if I'm going to follow Jesus, it's not going to be any fun, right? Some of you, like, you believe that in college. You're like, well, I'm in college, I'm having fun, but I'm also drawn to Jesus. But these seem to be two mutually exclusive ideas right here. Right? I didn't think you could have fun and follow Jesus. Now think about this for a moment. Just follow me down this path for a second. If the God of heaven, all right, the God of heaven, he's not up there. The one who said, for God so loved the world. He looked down at you and said, for God so loved the world. All right? He's not looking down at you saying, I so love the world because I want you, my children, to be holy and miserable. It's not what he wants for you. All right? No. We actually looked at this last weekend. We unpacked last weekend, some things on prayer and asking God and seeking from God. And we looked at Luke, what Jesus said in Luke 11, where he said, you fathers, and this could apply to mothers, if your children ask for a fish, do you give them a snake instead? And you're like, no, I don't do that. Or if they ask for an egg, do you give them a scorpion? No, of course not. And he says, you're sinful. I'm sinful. Like we're greedy, sinful, not real generous people. All right, but we still know how to give good gifts to our children. How much more do you think your Heavenly Father will give the gift of the Holy Spirit to those who ask him? Like God is a good gift giver. And yet we find ourselves in odds with happiness. We go, oh man, I want to be happy. And I think the problem is we're looking for happiness in all the wrong places because we were actually designed for so much more. In fact, Max Lucado, in one of his books, When God Whispers Your Name, he has this great little illustration. And I want to kind of tell it to you, but I'm going to kind of make it my own. And so if you don't like it, you can blame me. Don't blame him. He tells it a little different. But he asked this question. I'm going to ask the question he asked. He asked this question. He said, would a fish ever be happy on the beach? All right, and so I just want you to visualize that for a moment. All right, just visualize a fish out of water, put it on the beach. In fact, we don't have to visualize it. AI helped us out right here. All right, so visualize. Is this fish happy on the beach? What do you think? Yes or no? Yeah, is it happy? No, what's it doing on the beach? You know what it's doing? It's doing the NBA thing. It's flopping. That's what it's doing. It's flopping. All right, so is it happy? No, it's not happy. All right, well, what if we bring some things from our world to this fish to try to make it happy? What if we bring like a pile of cash? We just layer a stack full of Benjamins underneath this fish. All right, is that fish happy right now? No, it's still not happy, right? Now, what if instead we say, hey, we're going to throw a party for the fish. We're going to invite all the cute fish from the sea, and they're going to bring their party stuff, and they're going to have some music, and they'll be flipping and flopping, and the bass is going to be booming. Is that fish happy now? No, still not happy, right? All right, how about we give him a margarita or Mai Tai? All right, Mai Tai, that'll make him happy. Is he happy with a Mai Tai? No, still not happy. All right, what if the fish takes a selfie? Hey, look at me, right? Fish bod, fire. Everybody's liking. Man, you look so good. Like, look at you go. Is he happy? No, still not happy. What if you give the fish a Playboy or a Playfish magazine, by the way, not a Playboy, Playfish. He's like, look at the tail on that thing. All right, is he happy? No, he's still not happy. Why is the fish not happy? You know why the fish isn't happy? Because the fish wasn't created for the beach. It was not created for that. See, if we ever find ourselves wondering why we're not happy, we have to ask ourselves, what are the things of this world that I'm living for? And maybe we need to consider lowering our expectations of earth because, see, you and I weren't created for earth. We were created for God, by God, for things that are bigger than this world. Which is why we're back to sin promises. The things that are lesser than God's best for us promise a satisfaction that it can't fully deliver at a cost, and eventually, even at times, some really deep pain that we bring upon ourselves. So what do we need to understand right here? This is so important. What I want us to see is following Jesus or faith or pursuing God is not mutually exclusive of happiness. In fact, they're actually very, very related. All right. In fact, it's not that Jesus didn't say, hey, go do what makes you happy. And so it's like, well, if he didn't say that, he didn't want happiness. No, he just wanted to take us way deeper than just the happiness part. All right. Because Jesus actually is the pathway to happiness and joy. Let me say that again. Jesus and happiness are not mutually exclusive. All right, serving God, serving others, following the way of Jesus, being about things bigger than ourselves. I mean, that is actually the pathway to true meaning and true happiness. In fact, I love how the psalmist writer David put it. David, we get a glimpse into his prayer journal. He said this, he said, you will make known to me the path of life. If in your presence is the fullness of joy. In your right hand, there are pleasures forever. Not the fleeting pleasures that the writer of Hebrews talked about. No, he's talking about eternal pleasures. Which is why when this woman is drug in, in front of this whole group of religious leaders, and perhaps one of the most humiliating, low points in her life. It's why Jesus didn't look at her and go, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Seriously, look at you, look at you. I mean, after all I've done for you, this is pathetic. What are you doing? He didn't say that. You know what he did? He looked at her and he said, I've got something so much better. Be free, go. Like, I want you to move in that direction. All right, I want you to move on. I'm standing in the gap for you. You've got an amazing future ahead of you. How do we do that? How do we get there? Well, I want to give us two really practical and applicable next steps and distinct things that we can do this week. All right, and the first is this. If you find yourself in those moments where you're just like, boy, I blew it. This is one of the lowest moments of my life. I don't know if I'm ever going to build out of this. What do you do with the feeling that comes after you do the thing that you wish you wouldn't have done? All right? Let me say that again. What do you do with the feeling that comes after you do the thing that you wish you wouldn't have done, where you're feeling a lot of shame? Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to come back next weekend, all right? Because we're going to talk about this. In fact, this is what our theme is going to be next weekend. And some of you are like, dang, I thought we were going to figure that out tonight. No, I want you to come back next weekend. And the cool thing, we're going to be online only, and we're going to hear from an amazing guy, Clay Scroggins. We on our online weekend bring people in that we couldn't otherwise bring in to come in for a weekend, but we get to do that because it's online. And he's going to be unpacking this very question for us. What do you do with the feeling that comes when you do the thing that you wish you wouldn't have done? And he's going to help us walk through that universal struggle, that what do we do with the mistakes that we wish we could erase? So when you're exhausted because you just feel like you just keep having to work at hiding a secret, or when you feel like your past has become like a permanent identity, all right, we're going to discover that some of our worst moments don't disqualify you, but those moments are actually the very thing that opens us up to a genuine life of freedom and fresh starts. And next weekend is freedom. We celebrate freedom here in our country, but we're going to be talking about freedom that's way bigger than that kind of freedom. And so here's the other cool thing. Now, if you like Clay next weekend, this is really cool. I want you to hold the date on this right here because Clay's actually going to be with us this fall. He's actually going to be joining us later on this fall. In fact, September 10th and 11th, we're going to have him in person here, and he's going to be at our Thursday evening early weekend service with us. And then he's also going to be helping us do a grand opening for the Commons here at Crosspoint. And so and some of you are going, oh, I thought the Commons was already open. Well, it is, but you know how like stores when they open, they do like a soft open, and then eventually they do this like, hey, we have a grand opening. Well, we're going to do that this fall, and Clay is actually going to be coming and speaking here. He's going to be doing a learning lab, and this is an opportunity for you, for your office, people in your teams, if you're a leader in your workplace, to bring your friends. We're going to do a morning session, a networking event, and then we're going to hear from Clay for about an hour, and he's going to kind of build in on healthy culture and how to create a culture that helps develop people. And he's an industry leader, does this with Fortune 100 companies. And so we're going to have the chance to do that and hear from him as we grand open the Commons. And if you're interested in being a part of that, on your next steps, there's a box at the bottom that says, hey, loop me in when the promotional materials come out for that. Let us know that, and we will send those to you because we would love you to bring a team to be here. Now, if all that piques your interest, make sure you're here next weekend because we're only going to be online. We're not going to be in person. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have church. We're going to be having services. It's just we're going to be joining the online crowd with what you do every single weekend, and we're all going to be joining through the online platform so we can take a weekend off for our volunteers and give them some time with their families. So it's going to be a great weekend. I hope whatever you're doing, laking, traveling, you find a time to dial in and hear Clay next weekend. All right, so that's the first next step. Hey, I'm going to show up next weekend. Now, here's the second one. I want to ask you a couple questions that will help us get into this. First question is this. You can just rhetorically think about this. Why am I here? I want you to say why am I here? What's my purpose? Why did God put me on the planet? And then I want you to kind of ask this third one. I want you to say self, can I articulate my personal mission statement for life and for work? Do you know why you're here? Do you have a personal mission statement? Can you articulate, hey, here's why God put me on the planet? See, I have this belief, and this isn't data tested, at least hard data. I've got a lot of soft data. I think for many of us, we are always and often trying to figure out what makes us happy because we don't have a clear understanding of mission and our purpose here on earth. And I'm a great sample case of this. In fact, I want to share a bit of a story on this. Some of you have picked bits and pieces of this up over the years if you've been with us for a while. But back in 1998, I had been in ministry for 3 years. I was doing student ministry with junior and senior high students. And I was getting to the point where I was like ready to throw in the towel. And it wasn't, I was really disillusioned with just, am I where I'm supposed to be? Is this making a difference? And it's not like I was disillusioned with ministry, like I just had never seen the back end of, being a pastor. Sometimes people think like being a ministry, it's all like rainbows and unicorns and woo, it's all fun. And, there's a lot of like behind the scenes work. And I grew up in a pastor's home. So that was normal for me. In fact, I love hiring people that grew up in pastors' homes because they're not disillusioned with like what the work is when we do ministry. But I had just gotten to the place where I was like, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And God had called me to ministry. I didn't really want to be a pastor, but God said, hey, here's really what the call is for your life. And I'm like, why would you put me in a church with a bunch of already convinced people when I have a heart for people in the marketplace and schools that don't know Jesus? Why can't I be out there? And I know it now. I know part of that reason is because God wanted me to be a part of creating a church for people that are in those places to have a place to come. But at the moment, I didn't know that. And so I'd gone as far as calling Ball State to, talk to them about their transition to teaching program. And already had a plan in place that I had a degree, but I'm going to go, get my teaching degree. And I'm going to, start working in a school and where I can have impact on students' lives and make a difference in lives of students and others that don't know Jesus. My wife, ironically, was actually working in the schools at the time. She was a teacher, her third or fourth year. And she was about ready to throw in the towel on teaching. She's ready to be like, okay, I'm done. I don't know why I'm here. I don't have any sense of purpose in this. If this is what it is, I feel like I'm supposed to do something else. And she'd started exploring other options. So we're both looking to switch. Just randomly, and I want to believe it, initially I believed it was a coincidence, but I don't really believe in coincidences. This flyer came across my desk for a conference on creating your personal mission statement for life and work. And so I said, I should go to this. Maybe I felt a nudge to just sign up. So I went. And it was a half-day conference with Lori Beth Jones. And she is the author of the book, The Path. And she also wrote a book called Jesus in Blue Jeans. It's a devotional book on how Jesus is an ordinary guy. And he's relatable, even though he was God at the same time. But I found this seminar really helpful. In fact, I bought the book and the workbook, and I bought my wife one, and we went away a few weekends later for a weekend at a cabin, and we worked all the way through that workbook, and we each of us dialed in our mission statement. And I'm telling you what, it was a game changer. In fact, my statement came out in the form of like, I'm here to inspire, develop, and empower people, people in my orbit, students, the people I'm serving, to live life to the fullest. That's always been at my heart. Like, I want to help people live a full life, live the full joy, the full peace, everything God has for them. And it just hit me as I started narrowing this in. I go, oh my gosh, I'm in a role in student ministry that I get to do that every single day. Every single day I have the opportunity in conversations and meetings to help coach people toward living life to the fullest. And I'm about ready to step out of this. And it totally changed the way I saw what I did. Now, it's not always that way. For some of us, we go through this and we're like, hey, I'm in the wrong place. I need to get a place where I can live this out. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she was in teaching, ready to get out. She developed a mission statement, and it was somewhere along the lines of bringing and cultivating and inspiring a life of joy in students and others she works with. And she's like, I don't know that school's a place where I get to do that. But she began to process what that looked like, and she had an aha moment. She goes, oh my gosh. Every single day, in my classroom, there are students that come in, and they come from homes that are destroyed and, are struggling, and they come into my classroom, and I have the opportunity for 7 or 8 hours a day to create an environment where they can live a life and experience joy. And it changed. She goes, oh my gosh, I get to do this every day, and I was about to step out of it. She had degrees and, master's degrees in reading and, postmaster work in reading. And she's like, that's the vehicle of what I do. But my mission is to help inspire and create moments for people to experience a deeper joy and meaning in life. And I get to do that every single day. I tell you that because we were both about ready to step out of what we were doing. And if we would have done that, we probably wouldn't be here today. I probably wouldn't be standing in front of you right now. I can also tell you that once you find that, you begin to discover it doesn't even feel like work because it just naturally comes out of who you are. And I just think a lot of times we don't know that bigger purpose of why God put us on the planet. And so we settle for the quick hits of happiness and we just bounce from one thing to the next.
Doesn't mean we don't have moments where we sin or we get involved in things that are less than God's best for us. It's just, I just think knowing that purpose just changes everything. So 2 ways you can tap into this. One, these books are available at Connection Point this weekend. You can get it at any bookstore. You can totally go through this book on your own, self-guide. There's experiences, all kinds of little assessments that'll help you dial in your mission statement. If you're more of a group person, we're going to have a learning lab cohort coming up in August. And my wife and I both are going to be actually kind of coaching this session. It's going to be 4 weeks where we're going to read through the book, and then we're going to each session coach you through some of the experiences and help dial in the things that are leading you to what your mission is. And at the end of 4 weeks, you're going to have a very clear, articulate mission statement. So if that's of interest to you, you can scan the QR code, sign up. We'd love to have you in that setting. And so I just encourage you to take one of these steps. I mean, if you're like, hey, I'm looking for that, pick the book up or join the seminar. I just believe God has some amazing things in store. So my goal this week is that, as we go back to work and, students, as you go back to your clubs and sport teams and all this, that there's a different motivation, all right? That there's a different drive, that somebody looks at you and goes, oh my gosh, like what got into you? I mean, there's a different level of energy and purposefulness in what you're doing. Or students, your friends are going, man, there's something different going on in you. Why is that? And perhaps it's because you've gone deeper than just going for the happy, but you're going for the deeper levels of happiness and joy that are tied to purpose and God's best for you. And it's pretty cool when you get there and you go, wow, I actually get to be a part of this. I didn't realize that my job is here, but my mission actually supersedes that, and I get to live that out regardless of where I am. And we're going to do it well. So I hope you'll take a next step. Maybe it's coming back next weekend. Join us online here in Clay. If you really want to know how to get out of those moments where we get stuck and we don't know how to get out of the places that we wish we weren't. If it's joining one of these, picking up the book or joining a group. Maybe it's just taking a step toward Jesus. You're here and you're going, yeah, I've been going after a lot of things and I just need to begin to move in the direction of Jesus. And maybe that's your first step. The band's got another song for us. Let's go ahead and stand. I'm going to pray for us and then we're going to sing one more. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you. Thank you that you are with us, that you have a plan and a purpose for our lives. And I just pray right now that you would give us some inspiration for our souls right now. We want to be happy. I mean, we long for that. And you do too. You actually deeply desire that for us, but you long for so much more. And some of us are carrying things right now, and I just pray that you lift some of the weights from our shoulders, maybe some of the stress, take our worries off of us. Remind us that you're in charge, that we can lay our head on our pillow tonight and hand the world over to you and know that we're in good hands because you care for us more than we can ever imagine. You heal diseases, you carry anxiety and depression, you heal marriages, restore relationships. Father, I just pray that you help us to trust you in those ways, or maybe trust you again. Maybe for some of us this weekend, we know our very first step starts with saying, God, I just want to give you my life. I want to take advantage of what Jesus did on my behalf on the cross. I want to know his grace. I want to walk with you. I'm not going to be perfect at it. But Jesus, I need you. And I kind of feel in my heart right now like you're pulling me in that direction. If that's where you are, you can just say yes to that and say, Jesus, would you receive me and would you fill me as I receive you? God, I pray that you build us up, build our confidence, replenish our soul. I pray. Thank you so much. We love you. Amen.
I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise
Hey, thanks so much for watching. As always, your experience doesn't have to stop here. Our best summer ever is packed with opportunities all summer long to meet people, invite friends, serve, connect, and make some incredible memories together. We hope to see you this next week at our next summer serve. Now, a quick shout out to those of you who are givers around here. I want to say thank you. Thank you for fueling real change and the stories that God continues to write in the lives of real people. None of this happens without your generosity through the Joy Box. And if you're not a giver, but you're interested in becoming one, you can donate at this QR code, even automate your giving, but most importantly, become a part of the amazing team that fuels this place, including this online broadcast. One last thing, if you're walking through something right now, perhaps something heavy, uncertain, or could just use some prayer, we'd love to come alongside you. You can text Need Prayer to 317-834-7373, and someone from our team will reach out to you later today. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time for our special online-only holiday weekend with Clay Scroggins. See you then.